What happens when a single complaint spirals into a clash of wills, secrets, and unbreakable bonds? In the sprawling Montana plains, where the sky stretched endless and the wind carried whispers of freedom, the Larson Ranch stood as a testament to grit and legacy. Jack Larson, a grizzled Navy SEAL veteran, had poured his soul into this land after 20 years of service. His calloused hands worked the fields, but his heart sang through the crackling speakers of an old ham radio in the barn. It was his lifeline to a world beyond the Fincisa world of coded messages, shared stories, and the camaraderie of fellow operators, many of whom were veterans like him. The radio wasn't just a hobby. It was his anchor, a tether to the discipline and brotherhood he'd left behind. His daughter, Emily, was his mirror in ways neither fully admitted. At 32, she was a former SEAL herself, one of the first women to earn the Trident. She'd returned to the ranch 6 months ago, battle-worn but fiercely protective of her father. The two didn't talk much about their service. Too many shadows lingered in those memories, but they shared an unspoken vow. This ranch was their sanctuary, and no one would threaten Plum would threaten it. Enter Karen Mitchell. Karen moved to the neighboring property last spring, a city transplant chasing a romanticized dream of rural life. Her sleek SUV and manicured nails stood out against the dusty backdrop of Willow Creek, and her complaints were as sharp as her designer sunglasses. The radio, she declared, was a nuisance. Its late-night crack Hawkins from a distance. Karen's voice sliced through the calm Montana air, shrill and commanding. Noise pollution! She'd barked at Jack one evening, storming onto the porch with a petition signed by half the town. Turn that damn thing off, Jack Larson. You're disturbing the peace. Jack, leaning back in his creaky chair, felt his blood simmer. Disturbing the peace? That radio was his lifeline, his ritual, his connection to a world of honor and sacrifice. He'd spent countless nights listening to the chatter of distant operators, their voices a chorus of resilience. To call it noise was an insult to everything he stood for. But Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was relentless, armed with noise ordinances and a lawyer's number on speed dial. Jack had tried to reason with her, explaining the radio's low frequency, its necessity for the ranch's isolation. She didn't care. It's disruptive, she snapped. I can't sleep, I can't think, and my kids are losing their minds. Emily, who'd been tinkering with a tractor in the yard, overheard and stepped in. Ma'am, that radio's been here longer than you have. It's part of this ranch. Her voice was steel, her SEAL training evident in her unwavering stance. Karen scoffed, tossing her hair. Then get a new one. This is ridiculous. She stormed off, leaving a tense silence in her wake. The next day, a county sheriff's deputy arrived with an official notice. The radio was to be shut off within 48 hours, or Jack would face a fine. Emily's eyes blazed. She's not getting away with this, she muttered, her mind already racing with plans. That night, Jack and Emily sat in the barn, the radio humming softly. They didn't speak of Karen, but their shared silence was heavy with defiance. Emily's fingers tapped the table, her tactical mind at work. Jack's weathered face was calm, but his eyes held a glint of something fiercer. We've dealt with worse than her, he said quietly. Emily nodded, a slow grin spreading. They had a plan. The twist came in the form of Old Man Tucker, a grizzled ranch hand who'd worked the Larson land for decades. Tucker was a ghost, rarely seen in town, his presence more rumor than reality. But he knew the ranch like his own skin, and he knew Karen's habits. He'd seen her late-night walks, her phone calls, her secret meetings by the creek. Tucker, a Vietnam vet with a knack for electronics, had a surprise of his own. A tiny recorder hidden in the barn, capturing every word of Karen's complaints and more. See, Karen wasn't just a noise hater. Tucker revealed she'd been cozying up to a slick developer named Bryce Callahan, a man with dollar signs in his eyes and plans to subdivide the adjacent land. Karen's petition wasn't about peace and quiet. It was a calculated move to devalue the Larson Ranch, to pressure Jack into selling cheap. Tucker played the recording. Karen's voice, clear as day, plotting with Bryce to make the old man crack. She'd been dropping hints about better offers and land value. Thinking no one was listening, Emily's jaw tightened. Jack's fist clenched. "She's done," Emily said, her voice low and lethal. They didn't just have a recording. They had leverage, and Seals knew how to use it. The next evening, they invited Karen over under the pretense of sorting things out. She arrived, all smug confidence, expecting another round of groveling. Instead, Jack played the tape. Karen's face drained of color, her protest stumbling as the recorder revealed her scheme. "You can't prove anything," she stammered. But Emily leaned in, her voice a razor's edge. "We don't need to. This tape goes to the sheriff, the town council, and every rancher in Willow Creek. You'll be run out of here by morning." Karen's bravado crumbled. She begged, offered money, even tears. Jack stood like stone, his silence more damning than words. Emily escorted her to the door, her grip firm. "Leave the county by sunrise," she said, "and don't come back." But the story didn't end there. Karen left, all right. The town woke to find her SUV gone, her house empty. Word spread fast. Willow Creek loved its gossip. Some said she'd fled to California. Others swore she was hiding in Billings. Either way, the ranch was quiet again. The radio back on, its familiar crackle a victory song. Months passed, and the Larson Ranch thrived. Jack's radio buzzed with new voices, new stories. Emily took to riding the fences at dawn, her eyes scanning the horizon for threats that never came. The land was theirs, unbroken, unbowed. But one chilly morning, a registered letter arrived, postmarked from Denver. Inside was a legal notice, a lawsuit from Karen Mitchell, claiming harassment, defamation, and emotional distress. She'd hired a big city lawyer, and she was coming for blood. Jack read the letter, his face unreadable. Emily cursed under her breath, her mind already mapping countermeasures. They'd won the battle, but Karen had opened a new front. The lawsuit demanded millions more than the ranch was worth. It was a death blow cloaked in legalese. Jack's hand trembled as he set the paper down. "She's not done," he whispered. Emily grabbed the letter, her eyes scanning the claims. Karen had twisted everything, the recording, the confrontation, even their service records, into a narrative of intimidation and coercion. She painted herself as the victim, a lone woman bullied by battle-hardened veterans. The town was split. Half believed her, swayed by her tears. Half stood by the Larsons, loyal to their own. The court date loomed, a shadow over the ranch. Jack and Emily prepared their defense, digging up old mission logs, radio transcripts, anything to prove their case. Tucker, ever the wild card, offered to testify, his recorder their ace in the hole. But Karen's lawyer was sharp, twisting facts, sowing doubt. The trial was a circus, with reporters sniffing blood and neighbors picking sides. On the stand, Jack was steady, his voice calm but heavy with years of sacrifice. Emily was fire, her testimony fierce, unyielding. Tucker's recording played to a hushed courtroom, Karen's voice damning her own cause. Yet her lawyer spun its aid. The tape was doctored, the Larsons desperate. The jury wavered, torn by conflicting tales. The verdict came at dusk, the courtroom thick with tension. Not guilty on harassment and defamation, but the jury bought Karen's distress claim. The Larsons were hit with a $500,000 Phinia gut punch, but not fatal. The ranch would survive, though it'd limp for years. Jack and Emily stood tall, their chins high, but the weight of it lingered. They'd protected their land, their legacy, but at a cost. Karen never returned to Willow Creek. Some said she'd won enough to start over, her lies half believed. Others whispered she'd lost more than money, her name was mud in Montana. The radio still hummed in the barn, a quiet rebellion against her shadow. But every crackle carried a bitter note, a reminder of a war won but never truly over. Jack and Emily sat on the porch that night, the stars blazing above. "We did what we had to," Emily said, her voice soft but sure. Jack nodded, his hand on hers. "Some fights don't end." The radio played on, a testament to their strength, their scars, their unshakable bond. ND.